Hi everyone, it's Sue Plum here to share another scrapbooking process video with you. Today's layout I'm sharing is for Kitaholic Kits, and I am using the December scrapbook kit and mixed media add-on kit. Now for this page I am actually documenting a photo of my hubby and my kids that we took a few months ago on Father's Day. Now, when I opened this month's kit, I was very much drawn to this beautiful blue paper from Pink Fresh Studio from the Days of Splendor collection. You can see that it's got a gorgeous sort of foliage edge around the edge of the page, and it's got a constellation print in the middle. Now, whilst I do appreciate this beautiful paper, it didn't really sit well with me. They contrast in the two patterns on this paper. So I decided to separate them to help my mind work around them. And I cut out the center of the paper and put it aside. And then my intention was to use the edge of the paper as a border for my page. So I grabbed some white cardstock, which I cut down to measure 10 by 10, and my intention was to lay that over the top of the Pink Fresh paper so that the Pink Fresh paper formed a border around it. So on my cardstock, I used some speckled egg distress oxide just to add a sort of subtle, sort of watercolor style mixed media background for my page that would tie in with some of those blues that were on the pattern paper around the edge there. Now, the other paper that I did grab out to use was this chevron print paper, also from Pink Fresh Studio. You can see that it's got the same tones in it as that background sheet, and it's actually the cut apart on the other side. So I had to assess the cut apart sheet and see which part of the cut apart I was unlikely to use, and I chose that to cut up and use underneath my photo on my page. Now the piece that I've got there that I just tore the edge from is from Amy Tangerine from the Late Afternoon collection, and I was sort of, I grabbed that one because it was a nice sort of neutral tone and it worked in well with the colours of the Pink Fresh papers. And then I went back to the cut apart, the Pink Fresh cut apart, and I chose that Moments That Matter large piece there to be the title for my page. Well, I thought it was going to be my title, but I added another one later. You'll see that. So once my Distress Oxide had dried off, I just added some double-sided tape to the back of that and then mounted it on top of that pattern paper. And so that was just the basis for my page there. You can see that the oxide is fairly subtle in the background. I did just want something that would just add a little bit of colour sort of peeking out from behind the papers that I was going to use. So once I had that stuck down, I grabbed the pattern papers that I was using. As I said, I've got that piece of the Amy Tan one, I've got the piece of the Pink Fresh, and I just layered those over one another in the center of the paper to form the anchor point for my design. You can see I'm using my T-square there to make sure that they are straight and that I am working flush against the edge of the pattern paper. There is nothing worse than sticking down the anchor piece for your page and it not being straight. So if you do have a T-square, I recommend you use it for at least this part of your pages. Now, you can see my photo there. You can see the tones in my photo. That's all of them sort of crammed in the armchair. This is a traditional photo that we take every year, sort of Mother's Day and Father's Day. And I can tell you that chair has gotten very, very squishy and we don't really all fit in the chair anymore. So I had my pattern papers down. You can see that I've got that piece that I was intending to use for a title or at least a subtitle on the page. I've also added in a grey paper doily there, which I had in my stash. And I have also got that purpley sort of coloured little journal spot that's got the border around it. It was not my intention to use it for journaling. I just wanted to use the little frame and the tones in the frame to help tie in with the tones of the paper. I have also added some frayed gauze there behind my photo just to add some soft texture, and you can see I'm going in with my liquid adhesive to stick my photo down over the top. Now, this was pretty much all of my main layers in place, all the main bits of my page in place, and now it was simply a matter of going back and adding some embellishments. So you can see that I stuck that Moments That Matter piece down along the bottom edge there. And as I said, it was my intention initially to use it as the title for this page. But then as my page evolved, which it often does, it went in a little bit of a different direction. Now, tell me about what sort of scrapper you are. When you start to scrap, do you have a plan in mind of how your page is going to look at the end, and then you just follow along that plan in your mind until you come out with the finished product? Or are you a bit like me where you just sort of get a rough, loose idea and then you start creating and then off you go? Your mind just goes where it wants to go and the page just naturally evolves on its own. I'd really like to know, are you a planner scrapper or are you a wing it scrapper like me? So getting back to my page here, you can see that I have added some floral embellishments. These are actually some of this month's exclusive printables for subscribers. Actually, no, they're not. They're some of the November printables for subscribers. And you get these exclusively when you are a subscriber of Kitaholic Kits. You also get some exclusive cut files every month. So there are a range of benefits of being a subscriber. So I had print and fussy cut out those little floral pieces, and you can see that I have gone with my usual design of 3 main clusters. So I've sort of gone to the top left of the photo, along the right edge, and then I've tucked it in down below that Moments That Matter piece from the cut apart. When I stick them down, I don't stick them down all the way to the edge. I usually just put a little dab of glue in underneath, and then I bend the edges of the leaves and the petals and everything up away from the page just to give it some dimension. Now, my apologies for the reflection on the photo there. I actually didn't film this at home. I actually filmed this at my sister's place because I was away because my mum was sick in hospital and I was staying at her house. So I had to set up a little bit of a studio in her spare room there, and you will see that the lighting is just a little bit different to what it usually looks on my own desk. So you'll have to bear with me on that. Now, down in the bottom right of my corner, you can see that beautiful heart there. That is from Charms Creations, and it's got hessian on the top of it, and I love the texture that it brings to the page. It's also quite sort of neutral colours, so it worked in really well with all the other tones that I had on the page. Now, all of these little pieces that I am adding on at the moment are all from the Jen Hadfield ephemera pack, which has got lots of words and phrases and things like that in it that's in this month's kit. And you can see that I actually ended up going with thankful for my title. I figured because this was Father's Day, and Father's Day is all about being thankful to the men in our lives, that would be a more appropriate title. So Moments That Matter sort of became more of a subtitle on the page. So I used that thankful title at the top, which is a wood grain print. I've also got that little noted arrow on the left there, which is also wood grain. And because I'd gone with the wood grain, I wanted to tie that in further by using some of the wood veneer hearts that are in this month's kit. And I thought that the wood colour and leaving them raw worked really well with the colours on this page. Over the top of the Charms Creations heart, I've also added a sticker from the Pink Fresh Studio Days of Splendor cardstock stickers. And I am also adding some of those gorgeous pebbles puffy dots too. So I just chose some colours that worked well with the tones that they had on the page and just used them as I would normally with enamel dots. And they are super cute and easy to use. Now, I did think that the wood veneer, it was a little bit dominant on the page. They were quite dark, so I just wanted to dull down the colour of the wood a little bit with some white acrylic paint. So I just grabbed some of that and a little flat brush and then just brushed it roughly over the top. I still wanted the wood veneer to be visible, but I didn't want it to dominate the page. Now, to finish off my page, I actually grabbed some Heidi Swap Colour Shine. I actually used a navy instead of using a black because there was those blue tones on the page, and the navy doesn't tend to dominate as much as the black does. And that was my page. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.